Hello everyone, today I'm bringing you my Flamebreeze Spellblade Super Tank. Since a lot of you asked me to include some gameplay on the guides, I'm gonna roll some gameplay in High Arena so you get an idea of how the build plays and how the build works, and then we're gonna get into it, so I hope you guys enjoy it. It's a Flamebreeze Firebrand setup that does crazy amounts of damage, and it's really tanky. By really tanky, I mean he's able to tank pretty much anything in the game up to wave like 400. I'll show you guys an example. But here is the character tanking Crystal Elementals at wave 356. Now just walk into a straight line. And you don't care too much. As you can tell, the damage is also pretty crazy. You just one-shot everything. We're doing 20k crits there, and the damage goes crazy as much as you stack your passives. This character does damage thanks to the Blade Weaver passive, in combination with all the Spellblade free damage that you get, and the classic combo that you're probably familiar with if you played Spellblade before, of using Firebrand with the 3rd hit combo, and the Flamebreeze Rhythm of Fire versatility, which basically makes it, normally your Flamebreeze would be like this, right? And if you use 4 stacks, right, it's gonna be a big one, right? And if you hit enemies with Firebrand, it's always gonna crit. If you use all of your combo with Enchant Weapon, you get the 10 stacks, etc. You're gonna be hitting the dummy for half a million and a half, right? Like I just did there. So but the gameplay is pretty simple. You do this, you do the damage, and again, even if you just do a couple stacks, your damage is just insane, right? With Enchant Weapon, you basically double your damage, and again, if you fully stack the 10 stacks, the damage goes crazy. You can double hit like that for ranged enemies, etc. This build is gonna be pretty advanced, so I'm probably gonna have 2 setups in the description. I'm gonna have basically a beginner setup where you can just play the build, it doesn't matter what gear you have, and you can just have fun with it. And then I'm gonna have the main one that I'm gonna be covering in this guide, which is like the super advanced guide, where I'm gonna be covering all of the intricacies of the build. So we know how Spellblade does damage, right? Again, this is not something that is a mystery. You just grab the passives, you do the combo, and boom, that's it, right? But how do we get tanky? Well, this character is tanky as fuck. This is my current setup right here, and this is my current EHP. I put on 1000 ward, kind of like as an indicative, because it's kind of like what you have when you're fighting. But you can see that that if you actually hit the dummy and just use Flame Ward, you're gonna have way more than 1k ward, right? You can reach 3k pretty easily in density and so on. But just for the sake of realism, right, I'm just gonna put on the the 1k worth. So we have 2500 life, 100 worth. We're not going into any threshold whatsoever. And then here comes the fun part. We have Arcane Shield, which is the passive that you get on Spellblade. That gives you 16% damage mitigation and some armor, right? Which is pretty massive, because we can reach almost 4k armor with our current gear. If you have better gear, it's going to be even more, and better idols. Then we have Flameboard. We're going to be running 3. You can see there, 3 stacks of Flameboard. And those are gonna be very important for us to be tanky. Like, if Flameboard and Enchant Weapon are not up, our character is not gonna feel so good. So you kind of like always wanna wait for them to be up. Again, this gets just ridiculous. If you combine it with the new Shield, Bastion of Honor, and Lightning Aegis with the block effectiveness, you can see you just get tanky as fuck. This would be linked in the description also. So again, let's take a look at these items. We have Bastion of Honor. Again, really crazy. Like, basically, if we are inside of this circle that you can see, we're gonna block 100% of the hits, and that basically gives us pretty much 50% damage reduction. And it also comes with less damage taken from nearby enemies, and this stack on top of each other, you know. They're multiplicative with each other. We're gonna get Lightning Aegis from these idols here. Chance to get Lightning Aegis when hit. So when enemies hit you, and you know you're a melee class or you're gonna be getting hit all the time, you're basically gonna have Lightning Aegis perma up. Ideally, you wanna have perfect idols like that with max rolled, right? So you get 10% Lightning Aegis with the lightning damage, and that would make you turbo. It just makes you turbo tanky, and it also gives you a shit ton of damage. And it's not like you're lacking damage. So to be honest, the prefix is more like a luxury. Again, my other idols at the moment are just like resistances, because in the final build I would like to include an Omnis, and obviously I would get a lot of resistances for that, and I would have to shift a bit my gear. But the reason you want to get Omnis is because if you have Omnis plus the plus to Flame Ward, plus to Flame Brief, it means you can get 23 points without any Exalteds, and that means you can take 2 points off here, get 2 points here, and then get this extra multiplier. If you grab this extra multiplier and instead of Ignite you use the Shock, which you're shocking with Flare, because this is compared to Shock too, you're gonna be doing like the damage. You're probably gonna reach 2 million damage in the dummy just with that extra modifier, because you gotta keep in mind that all the multipliers multiply each other. So the more multipliers you have, the crazier the damage gets, right? So again, pretty straightforward. Flame Brief, we get the lightning conversion, so we get Shock. Shock is gonna make us do more damage, so that's good. We grab all the armor. You can see that when we're hitting the dummy or based armor with teleport, it's just 2000. But if we hit enemies, it goes to 3.8, right? Because we get a lot of base armor. Obviously this disappears when we hit, but we get it back up again really fast, right? So that's kind of like the plan. Enchant Weapon, pretty straightforward. You want to get the lightning damage, the attack speed, all the damage. This gives you a bit of bonus damage because your Crystal Sword has flat physical damage. If you have bonus points, you just grab the fire damage, because you are doing some fire damage here and there. You could also grab the Leech if you really want to. Doesn't really matter, right? Flame Ward, pretty straightforward. We grab the 2 charges. We don't care about the stun, because we're going to go over teleport in a second. We grab all the damage reduction, all the duration, we convert to lightning, so we get some lightning damage while it's up. Flame Brief we want over to, right? You want the lightning conversion. The main reason when you want lightning conversion is because lightning conversion does more damage, because lightning is just a better element, because, you know, it scales better with shock and other things like that, which fire doesn't do. And you also double dip from some of the passives. So you can see right now my Flame Brief has lightning and fire attack. That means that if you go to these passive points here, you know, you get melee damage depending on the type. Because we are fire and we are lightning, we're double dipping from this passive, and we're also double dipping from this passive. So instead of getting 16 damage, we're getting 32. Instead of getting 8, we're getting 16. It's massive damage, right? Massive damage. So you obviously want to grab that. And then for teleport, I've been running this setup that Amarathi told me, which is basically you go for a longer cooldown. We're at 6 seconds at the moment, but you get full stun immunity. So, you know, being a melee class, stuns gets really problematic. So, you know, as long as you have this buff up, you get your resistances, and you also get your stun immunity. So, and obviously, you know, you have enough time to overlap it, so you always have it up. You need to be a bit careful, you know, make sure that you always teleport in the right place, because it's gonna be a while till it comes back again. But yeah, in terms of gear, the main thing you want to focus on is obviously you want the flame, the sun wreath, so you get the circle, right? Without it, with it you get the circle, but if you didn't get it, it will be just like this. The circle is really important because in arena and stuff you get surrounded by enemies, and it's kind of important to you know, it's kind of important to well, to be able to hit everything around you. You know, imagine you're hitting enemies here and suddenly something dangerous is behind you, you didn't see it. You're gonna hit it by collateral damage, which makes it really safe. You can basically widescreen clear, which is really good. Obviously you want Bastion of Honor. Mine is not that wet rolled, you know, it could have a bit more block effectiveness, a bit more damage reduction, but it's fine. You want to get, you know, for my current setup, because I'm running the Blessing, I have really good Blessings, as you can see. I farmed a shit ton with this character. You want the all resistances because it's more value than the crit avoidance, but you can only run all resistances if you have a tier 7 crit avoidance boots like mine. These boots are fucking insane. I dropped them in the tournament. They're pretty insane boots. 58 instability. I mean, it doesn't matter. You can get your crit avoidance also on your helmet if you want. You can get your crit avoidance on your gloves. As long as you get a tier 7 crit avoidance somewhere, you don't need the blessing, and that gives you so much room to get resistances everywhere and so on. And you know, you can, without losing any of the increase and hybrid HPs on your gear, which is really important. For the weapon, pretty straightforward. You know, I mean. Get lightning damage, get attack speed. Attack speed is a really important component of this build, because obviously the faster you attack, the faster you stack your damage, and obviously the more attack speed the better, right? You can see like once I have enchant weapon, I'm at 157 attack speed. If you were dual wielding, you would be like at 200 plus, right? With another extra crystal sword. And that's pretty much it. Another thing that is really important this patch, guys, it's like you want to make sure you have this on your belt. You want to make sure you have the ward gain cleanse ailment. This basically makes it so if you got poison stacks on you, if you have bleeds on you, slows, mark of death, you can just use a potion and you will cleanse it completely. It will disappear, so you mitigate a lot of damage. And you know, I went for the extra potion slot so I can do it more times. You could go for whatever you want, damage lining, or mana regen, doesn't matter. I went for this just because, you know, like, you get so much value out of just like a tier 1, and you don't, it's so easy to craft a belt like this, you know. If you drop an item that has tier 5 health, you know, you add 1 tier of each, and then you just go for Guardians for the increased health or the hybrid health, and you're good to go. It's really, you can get this belt day 1 pretty much, or day 2 of a character. All of the other items are gonna take you a bit of a while. Again, this character I put a lot of time. I also have Quicksilver Coil for haste, or extra 30% movement speed when we're in combat. You don't need this. If you don't have Exalted crit avoidance, you could just run crit avoidance, you know, crit avoidance here, and on your ring, and just don't run Quicksilver. I think Quicksilver makes the build so much smoother when you're like fighting enemies and so on. And yeah, I mean, it's a really, really, really strong build, mainly because you get so much damage for free that you can just focus on being tanky. And you know, Mage has the tools to get tanky, and now with Bastion of Honor, everyone can just abuse block, get 42% damage reduction. You could get even more if you max rolled your, you know, your Bastion and your Blessing, which my Blessing is pretty good, but it's not max rolled, right? I could get a bit more. So yeah, really, really strong build. Again, the Spellblade is not my cup of tea, right? It's kind of like repetitive. But to be honest, it kind of feels nice to be tanky and do damage, so I hope you guys enjoy it, and yeah, I'll see you. Bye bye.